Hello guys, welcome to another video. Now that we're using SwiftUI, we are free of massive view controllers, right? Well, it turns out that we're still using views in SwiftUI, and actually, I have a challenge for you. Could you tell me just in a few seconds what is the actual UI of this piece of code? Honestly, it's really complicated to maintain a code like that. So, let's explore our second tip of this channel: understanding your views without seeing your preview. My name is Pete, and this is Swift and Tips. Okay, before we move on to the tip of today, let me show you something that you may not know, but it's really important for you to understand. For that, let's go to our folder here, and we're going to create a new SwiftUI view. Okay, this is the SwiftUI view. Call it whatever you want. Okay, now we just simply going to add 10 text views here, but add a B stack for that. Okay, let's compile our project. It's working. Let's run our preview. Okay, it's cool. So we have 10 hello worlds here. Now let's add one more. What happened here? Well, first of all, Xcode is not helping us a lot because, well, this error is not so descriptive. But it turns out that this is actually a feature by the SwiftUI framework. It turns out that only we can add up to 10 subviews in this parent view. Yeah, you heard it right. In this case, B-stack, H-stack, or any view that contains other views can only keep a maximum of 10 items. If you add one more, well, you will get this basically nothing error, but in fact, this is telling you that this is not possible. This is wrong. Okay, how we can make sure about that? So let's explore again view. Let's jump to control click. And you might remember the tip number 1 about view builder. So let's go here, view builder. Oops. Okay, in the last tip, we talk about that, right? About how view builder is more or less working internally. So view builder is using this kind of configuration, view block, right? This is a function, and it contains, well, in this case, 2 generic values, C0 and C1. Both of them should conform to view in this case. So in other words, this particular view block operation can handle only 2 views at the same time. But what happens if we need 3 at the same time? So we have this one. And if we want 4, well, we have this one. And so on until, yeah, this is crazy, 10, because we start from 0 to 9 views or subviews in this view builder. This is, well, this could be a limitation, but in fact I think it's something on purpose, because well, you normally won't have any issue about that. And in fact, if you just do a little thing like this, you will fix the issue. Yeah, because now this B stack is containing 2 subviews, but this other subview is containing another 10 subviews. So yeah, the counting is from the same level of the views. So it's like a tree having 10 childs, right? The maximum of childs here is 10. So if you add another node, it's not possible. So you have to create then a subview inside of Subview. I hope this is clear. And probably you won't have any issue because, well, this is so drastic, but it's something to keep in mind because this error could happen for you if you add a lot of views in the same stack. So be careful about that. Okay, let's move on now to the tip of today. Let's create a new view, but in this case, this view will contain inside the body a conditional, an if else. So when if is true, we will get a particular screen reflecting any kind of situation. Otherwise, we will display a new value for that screen. So let's do it. First of all, let's create just a simple state that reflects that there is an error or not. Let's add a bstack. And a conditional for this situation. Now, for the case of error, we will display just a text and an image saying that data couldn't be loaded. Alright, let's test our view in the preview. Okay, this is the error screen. Now let's create the actual screen when everything is working correctly. In this case, I will use just an image of Mario. Oops, let me just fix. Yeah, there you go. I will use whatever image here. I just select Mario from Mario Bros series. And I will continue with other two texts for the name. In this case, the name of Mario and his email. Cool, okay, let's change the conditional here. Or in fact, let's add just a view toggle just to test this very easy. There you go, so let's test our data here. Okay, now the error is activated, so yeah, this is the screen that we are showing. Then now everything is good, we will display this profile. Yeah, all clear. However, look at this. Look how I don't know you, but this code is becoming a bit messy. Even if you can see, it's just really simple. It's just an image and two text and a background. Can you imagine if you add more information here, more actions, more stacks, etc.? Okay, this is going to be unmaintainable. So one good practice that you can follow is that when you have these kind of situations, when you have two conditions, I think it's easy for the people just to see, okay, if error is happening, so I will move to this screen. Otherwise, we will move to this other screen. But keeping the independent roots of the conditionals is easier for the eye and also maintainable. So let's refactor this and then create a subview for this particular root and other one for this. Okay, looks good, but let me add one more thing. Let's add just a little model to pass when we're supposed not having any issue. So let's do it. And now our view is asking us for the model, so let's add it from outside of this view. Okay, let's try again. Okay, we have our error view here. And there you go. Now we have this particular scenario wherever any kind of situation is happening. So to use this profile view, we require a person object. It doesn't matter where we will get that. So in this case, we are reducing the scope of this view to only taking care of the person. The same situation like this. If we have any error or situation, okay, maybe no data is just placeholder to render something in the screen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care about where is the error or whatever. So another manager or particular piece of your application will handle that. So yeah, look at this. So now this particular view, parent view, is containing two roots, one for error and other one for success. So this is, I don't know you, but this is a lot clearer compared with the other approach. So yeah, when you have situations like this, I recommend you to use this approach. Use Subviews for conditionals. Oh, by the way, one last thing about this. I created these two subviews in the same file, but it's not mandatory to do that. So if you think it's better just keep this in the same file, it's fine for you. But normally I recommend to move this logic into a new file just to keep things clear. And finally, we are here in the challenge that I showed you at the beginning of the video. Yeah, this is a long code, so I won't spend the rest of the video coding this. So yeah, remember that I will leave all the code and the solutions in the description. This, in fact, let's not focus on the actual logic, but let's try to identify then what's going on with this. So yeah, you might try to understand this code with a few seconds, but it's not possible, of course. So what is actually this code? So let's open the canvas and find out. Ta-da! Yeah, it's actually a clone from Spotify player. Yeah, you may guess a little bit something about that because the player view model, but I guess you won't never identify this exact UI. So yeah, that's the point of this. It's really complicated. And in fact, look at this. We have 160 lines just for this particular example. But and this is it's a complex example in some way, but you could even have more complex examples. So yeah, this is not maintainable at all. So also remember that when we are working to develop application, most of the time could work with other members in a team. So imagine having all the team working in the same file. No, it's crazy. Okay, what we're going to do here? Let's do this. Let's refactor our code in subviews depending of the context of each piece of this UI. Let's start with the background gradient. To do that, let's create a folder in this case to handle all the subviews. Okay, let's create the subview for the background color. This is basically the area. Let's copy and paste this and move it to the subview. Okay, here we require this object, well, this property from the view model. But it turns out that it's really convenient to reuse subviews if we have the opportunity to do that. So in this case, instead of sending the view model object or the medium object, let's actually send the color because, well, this is a background gradient that some other areas in your application could use. So why couple your view, in this case, to the model if you want to just send a color? So let's instead keep a specific color for this view and forget about the rest. Yeah, as you can see here, we are just sending the color, and this is cool because if you copy and paste this code in other parts of your project or outside of your logic or your application, I'm sorry, you can reuse this code without any issue. And the good thing is that also if you try to test your preview right away, it's really simple because you already know what is a color, so you insert that and that's it. Yeah, there you go. So let's continue with the rest of code. In this case, let's work in the header view. Yeah, the header view is this part. So let's just create a subview for that. The subview in this case will cover all this particular piece of code. Let's work on that. And again, here we have just to send a title, well, a string. So it could be an artist or could be whatever other thing. So just for this particular situation, I will decide to keep a title as a string. Okay, so let's do this. Let's reload. It's working. Cool. By the way, you may notice that I love Queen. Okay, anyway, in this case, let's just improve the preview here. Let's add a background color for our preview. And instead of having all the iPhone layout, let's reduce the layout just for a particular width and height. I will use 350 and 100. There you go. let's move on to the actual cover, album cover. I won't do so much here. I mean, we can use create a custom modifier if we have multiple, styles for the same image. I mean, the same style for multiple image. But for this case, I'm just going to create a subview just in case we want to create more complex subview related to this particular piece of the UI. So let's create a new one. Okay, here, instead of actually sending the actual string of the image name, I prefer to keep the data related to the media. This is, because we are talking about specifically about the album cover, so it's not a random image, so it's better to keep the meaningful between your subviews, in this case, and your logic. Okay, for the preview, I created a static object just to start typing a new object every time, so you can use media demo, and demo is containing the information about Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay, move on. Excellent. So we just have 2 more pieces to complete here. So let's work on the rest of items. Okay, now it's time to work on the actual media info related to in this case, the song title and the artist. This is really simple. We just need to guess these couple of subviews and create a new one. Let's call this media info view. Then copy and paste this. Now here that we require 2 properties of media, it's convenient just to keep media has the dependency. Okay, now let's update the preview and add a background. Okay, it's looking good, but we need to fix the alignment because we need this text to be aligned to the leading part. So it's really simple. What you can do is just pass as a parameter alignment. You can choose between these 3 values. By default is center, but in this case we want leading. There you go. Let's type here media info view and send our media value. Excellent. Now we just left 3 more subviews. In this case, 1 if for the tracking of the progress of the song, the controls, and more about devices or things like that. So let's work on the next subview. Okay, this next one is a bit tricky in terms of, we are using more actions here. And one of them is actually the view model is, getting specific gestures in the screen. And also we are using a new thing that we haven't covered in this channel. It's about geometry reader. I want to create a special video about that, but for now, the only thing you should know is that you can actually manipulate a little bit how to render particular things because by default with stacks, the stacks do that work for you. But in this case, you can specify in relation of the actual space of the stack. So for example, I want to keep this particular, width of depending on the size of this stack. So it's good to use geometry size width. Okay. But anyway, so these particular 3 pieces of subviews, actually 2, because we have h tag and related to the duration, and we have the actual track progress. And if we go to the view model, yeah, we have a couple of logic here about calculating the durations in minutes and remaining seconds, actually simulating the progress of the track. In this case, backward just set to 0 this offset, and forward in this case is just it's just for the demo. We are just setting this to a particular width depending of the size of the screen. And if we receive a value from the gesture, we are just updating this progress offset. So in other words, when we run this, we are just getting basically the location of the, my hand in this case tapping this area. But of course, if you want to create a more sophisticated player, well, you have to do more work about that. But for now, this is just the logic. All right, enough talking. So let's refactor this in a subview. Now here that we are doing some kind of operations, other particular values related to the view model, it's convenient to use the actual view model in this case, because, well, this track progress is kind of specific for this detailed view, so it's good to use it. So let's use view model, but in this case, we will use an observe object. Remember that we just cover observe objects and all the state management in SwiftUI. I will leave a target in the video. Let's fix this. Player view model requires media, so let's actually use demo here. There you go. And go back here. Excellent. It's working. Cool. All right, so 2 more to go. Now we have here the actual controls for the player. There are, well, in this case, just a couple of images and, well, basic action just to backward, forward, and play, right? In real life, this is going to be more about the control of the actual audio file, but in this case, well, it's just dummy data. But anyway, let's move this view into a different subview. Let's create controlled media view. Let's paste the code here. And add again the view model here because, well, it's specific for the player and we require, well, some execute some actions here. Again, let's use observe object just in case something else should happen here. And remember that in this case, when we apply play, we are updating progress offset, and this will publish a new change for our view. At the same time, we are setting is playing to true if we are in that state. Cool. Okay. Let's go back here. This is great. So one last thing. Okay, one last thing. Just to, keep things clear here. We are not doing anything. It's just a placeholder here, but let's create something called devices and more view, just to reflect that could be something else in this particular scenario. But yeah, if we wanted more sophisticated or specific logic here, well, the name could vary depending. Anyway, let's create devices and more view. There you go. We don't need anything else. Great. Let's resume our preview. Okay, it's working. This is great. So yeah, now look at this. Check it out. We have here our background. We have a header. Well, let me just stop this. Again, we have a background covering all the screen. We have a header view. We have the album. We have the media. We have the track progress. We have the controls of the screen, and we have devices and more. So look at this. We are creating a complex view from specific subviews. So what is the advantage here? One is that it's so maintainable. And in fact, we are applying a design concept that is really important in our development called composition. Yeah, basically composition is creating a complex object from, more simpler objects. In this case, we are creating a complex view from simpler views. So this is great. And your team, if you're working in a team with multiple people, so they can individually work in these particular screens without affecting anything. And also, some of the screens don't require any logic or something attached to your application. So you can export this to any kind of SwiftUI project and you're good to go. Also, yeah, look at this. We passed from 160 lines to only 26. This is awesome. Also, other thing that even Apple is, talking a lot in its videos is that these subviews are not affecting the performance of the application. So you can create basically any kind of subview with no cost. So it's great. And finally, let's see what we had in the past. Look at this. We passed from this particular long code to this compact and really usable view. That's awesome. In summary, remember that View Builder has a limitation of 10 subviews. So it shouldn't be a problem because you can apply some of the techniques you saw in the video. But it's important to keep that in mind if you got that issue in the future. Use external subviews when you have conditionals. This will help you to readability and also reusability if it's the case. Create previews to keep your parent view short and easy to read, like this example. Also, remember to keep your previews really easy to be testable. Well, in this case, if you want to work and load your views in a really easy way, keeping just simple data as parameter is a great choice. And finally, remember, keep always in mind that composition is something really, really good to follow, especially if you are working in a team with multiple people working from different kind of features for the same big view. So like this example, this is a really great way to reuse code, but also maintain your code easy and clean. And remember, understand your view without seeing your preview. That's it for this video. Remember to think about your future self when you are building views or business logic. Let's keep things simple. I hope you enjoyed the video. If that's the case, remember to leave your like, put in the comments if you want to see something else related or more about any specific topic, and don't forget to share with your folks this video because that helped me a lot to make great content and reach more people like you. Also, don't forget to subscribe and follow me on social media, in this case Twitter. Thank you so much and have a great day.